What's something people think is romantic, but actually feels creepy? Other people ordering food for you at a restaurant. Had a guy do this on a first date, and even though he got what I would normally order, it was just weird. I have severe anxiety, so my partner orders for me so I don't have to talk to the person. I have already told him what I wanted though. He doesn't decide what I'm having for me. A lot of romance feels incredibly performative in a creepy way if the connection is already there. Sort of like checking boxes to get something from someone you barely know, rather than actually doing something that you think a person would like. Similar to the nice guy issue where people are nice BC, they think they'll get something. Waiting outside your work for hours to see you. That is seriously too much. A friend's husband used to do that. Slowly it turned out he was extremely jealous and was checking, even looking through the windows to make sure she was actually working. They're getting a divorce very soon. Wait, didn't he have his own job to go to? Who even has the time to be weird and insane like that? My old assistant manager used to be on the phone with her husband every day for her entire 10-hour shift, usually arguing back and forth. Eventually, he just started working at our job too. Before he came to work with us, we all thought he was the problem. He was not. Not even close. Literally her whole shift. How did she not get written up? That's totally unprofessional. My longest relationship. She did this. Unfortunately, I got so used to this behavior that nowadays every relationship that's normal feels kind of bland. And they probably don't really like me if they're not taking pics of me while I'm sleeping, or wait for me to leave work, or keep said pictures in a photo album. Omgeg. There's a therapist who makes videos about exactly this topic. I can't remember her name, but basically she talks about how when you go through traumatic attachments, relationships that are safe and healthy feel boring and abnormal. Her content is in the context of like attachment disorders in childhood, but definitely applies to your situation too. I grew up in a deeply enmeshed, codependent parental relationship. So now if people aren't obsessed with me, I'm like, hey, they don't really like me. It's very hard to undo that kind of thinking doubt. Deciding to get someone to fall for them by being persistent. Plot of every 90 seconds rom-com. No kidding. Spent a lot of my teenage years thinking this was how to win someone over and got hurt a lot. And people from high school still think of me as the weird girl. The romance genre has tainted and wrapped people's expectations and notions as much as the porn industry has. Here. A great little 2013 film, Don John, gets into that notion with great performances by Scarlett Johansson and Julianne Moore, Tony Danza, Brie Larson and Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who wrote and directed it. Especially after The Notebook was a hit success, the men seems to have thought that women would like to be pursued that way. Like, no sir, this is not Hollywood. Please stop. Sir, I've despised that movie since day one. There was a guy in my circle of friends in college who asked for my number. I said no thanks, not interested. A few nights later, I got a text from him anyway. He said a mutual friend had given him my number. I made it extremely clear that I was not pleased that he'd found this clever workaround to my lack of interest and didn't hear from him again. Later, I asked my friend about it, thinking she'd just misunderstood the situation. It turns out this guy borrowed her phone under false pretenses, looked through it for my number, and waited until she wasn't looking to text me. Yeah, persistence in the face of non-interest is not cute. Jesus, that's so creepy. WTF. Who the hell thinks this is even remotely appropriate? Hell, even if you were interested and playing hard to get, that kind of shit would make me run for the hills. That's straight up psycho killer shit. There's a very fine line between playing hard to get and running for your life. Try to convince Peep Ellie Pugh of that. Peep is definitely on the list. A friend of mine ended up in a relationship literally just because the guy wouldn't stop trying. They've been married for years now and have 2 kids. She is not happy with her life. It's a shame. This makes me sad to hear. She deserves better. She absolutely does. She wasn't raised in an environment that encouraged self-esteem or having very high goals. She had it in her head that she just needed to take what was offered to her and be happy to have anything. Really not the best approach when choosing a lifelong partner. I check in regularly though, and her children do bring her joy. I made the mistake of giving Mr. Very persistent a chance at a low point in my 20 seconds. It took me until my mid-30s to finally be rid of him, and that was a nightmare. Oh, I'm sorry that happened to you. If I can just wear them down, I can win them over. The literal can't take no for an answer people, which is a huge red flag. Thank you. When people try that with me, it feels like stalking, because it usually is. Anything romantic becomes creepy if you're not interested. Yeah, or if it happens too soon. Lol, I love you. It's the not taking the hint answer part, I think. Someone you don't like asks you out or flirts a bit. It's not really actually creepy really, unless they're being a full-blown weirdo. But when they persist even though you didn't reciprocate at all, or even flat out turn them down, it makes it creepy. Even as a guy getting hit on by a woman, when they don't take the hint, I start to worry there might be something wrong with them. Like someone comes onto you on a night out or something, it could be a bit annoying maybe, depending on the context. But I wouldn't say it's creepy, if they accept reality. When you're just trying to politely excuse yourself from the situation and they keep persisting, it gets creepy fast, especially if you said no multiple times. Yep, everything can be romantic if the feelings are mutual, and creepy if someone's actively avoiding you. I never understood the surprise visit thing. In movies, it's romantic, but in real life, it's stressful and sometimes invasive. I once had a long-distance boyfriend send me a cryptic message along the lines of, "I'm sending you a nice gift this evening." I replied along the lines of, "Ooh, I wonder what it is," and went on to hammer in 160 feet of fairy lights across the ceiling. Of course, I didn't look at my phone and see the several "you should open your front door" messages, and he was too stubborn to knock in case one of my housemates opened instead, so when I finally looked an hour later and went to open the door, he was stood there with a bunch of flowers, acting all pissed off because his romantic fantasy didn't work out and he had to wait. He could have literally knocked. First case scenario, you open. Great. Everything went as planned. Second case scenario, a roommate. Open. He whispers, "Hush, don't say anything." And great, he can now directly surprise you in your bedroom or office, or wherever else you are in the apartment. If he can't think outside the box, then that's on him. Okay, but I bet those fairy lights looks dope. Who the fuck goes to visit someone and doesn't knock or text, then gets pissed when the other person doesn't open the door? Glad you spoke of your relationship with him in the past tense. I think that before the internet and social media, people often visited each other unannounced. Not as much as on Seinfeld, but it was pretty common. I remember in early 90s, neighbors or friends of my parents dropping by. However, now what's accepted and polite has changed. Now, you would expect a text or a call first. In the 90s, I would walk over to my friend's house, walk in the front door without knocking, walk in the kitchen and make a bowl of cereal and go into his living room and watch TV. He didn't give a shit. His parents didn't give a shit. Nobody gave a shit. Yes, because most of the time, you didn't know if they were home. You just showed up and hoped for the best. Just like the whole idea of go outside and play, no saying where to go, who to find, or what to do. You just figured it out. Mum said to be home when the streetlights turned on. For real. I've had this happen to me twice when I was in my 20s. I told them no, do not show up. They did anyways. One of them hid a pizza under my car and left too. I don't like the visit, but if they come only to leave food, I might be okay with it. I'm always happy to meet food. Maybe it's just me, but when people walk me home, I get it. You're an angel. How nice. But I don't want you knowing where I live. My approach has always been to drop a lady somewhere near her home that she suggests. Often that's at a local shop or similar. I had a mutual friend do this to me, despite me being adamant I was fine. He kept insisting because it's on my way home anyway. I relented, and then when I got to my front door, he kept saying, "Oh, am I not coming inside then?" Thankfully, my panic was greater than my people-pleasing, and I said, "Nope, good night." I wasn't interested, but would have been happy to have him as a friend before this. Afterwards, I avoided him entirely and warned my friends away from him too. That whole showing up unannounced thing. Look, super sweet, but in real life, that can feel more creepy than cute. If you're not in the same mood or you're busy, it's basically someone crossing your boundaries and acting like your schedule doesn't matter. It feels more like pressure than romance. I have friends I can do this with, and I find it a rare blessing. It really is about personality match. I have a key to their home and they are so bad at committing to plans, texting back and being on time. So it's just easier. I pop in whenever. And I like both passive companionship, actively hanging out, and just keeping myself busy with a book or project in an environment other than my own. I always knock and text to check or give them a heads up, and if they say they can't, I don't come. If I get no response for a few asks, they eventually text back saying I should have just come by. It feels kinda like being roommates without being roommates. You'd love a BF who'd be okay with this. But also I'm the one going to another person's place more spontaneously. I don't know if it'd feel comfortable the other way around. My space has always been too small to comfortably host anyone. There is not a single person alive that I have this kind of relationship with. And now I kind of wish I did. Like, if you showing up didn't come with any kind of pressure for me to entertain you or put on a game face, then, yeah, I'd love random company. Trying to convince someone to leave their partner because you can treat them better. Bonus points if you've known each other less than a year. More bonus points if you try to spin it as something along the lines of, I can feel that we're meant to be together. Seriously? What the hell is the deal with this? Where do people get these ideas from? My ex saying he loved me and wanted to be with me forever after 2 weeks. Wish I knew then what love bombing was. Run for the hills. Or a marriage proposal to fix a disagreement. Yeah, my dad said this to my mum the day they first met. One day, I will marry you. She thought it was super romantic back then. She was only 18 years old. After that followed over 30 years with my very narcissistic and emotionally abusive father. He was very jealous and kept my mother small all through their marriage. This is why I struggle with most romanticy FIC, particularly if it's YA. So damn toxic. I can't enjoy it because I'm screaming about love bombing and limerence, but it's written as if legitimate and the relationship ends up balanced and long lasting. Theus. How can you say no if everyone is staring at you? Those can be cute if marriage has already been discussed and it has already been stated that when the proposal happens, they will definitely say yes. My friend proposed to his girlfriend, no fiancé, in public and she loved it. Because they had already talked about it and she was just waiting for him to propose. Stalking someone to know their likes and dislikes? Lol. A big no. Everything Edward did in Twilight. Edward and Jacob are both abusive in their own way. Sniff, your scent is like a drug to me. Like my own personal brand of heroin. Edward. Showing up unannounced and playing music out of a boombox over their head on your front lawn. About 90 of the time, surprises. On Valentine's Day, my friend told me to go behind the building across the street from the school and wouldn't tell me why. I felt nervous, but I went anyways. And my boyfriend was there with flowers and chocolates. I did like him, and it was nice. But I couldn't grasp the part of the vision where he thought we should meet in an alley. I was also called to the office, where the counter was full of individually wrapped, PR-measured ingredients to make my favorite cookies. And I was pulled over by our local police chief so he could give me chocolate and a promposal poster. All of these things gave me anxiety. I do not like being surprised. Haha, my wife told me to never make a scene for her birthday with mariachi or something like that. She gets horrible anxiety. Why are all these surprises so unhinged? Like, why an alley of all places? Is inside the damn building too hard? And the cookies thing? What the heck kind of serial killer shit is that? And the police chief? Why the heck are they getting involved? I have so many questions. I had a guy I hooked up with once from work decide that he liked me so much he'd follow me home. He caught the same train as me, sat at the other end of the carriage, got off at my stop, giggling to himself, and followed me. Once I actually reached the street my apartment building was on, I actually lost the plot and started screaming rape. It wasn't until I did that he realized how creepy he was. I quit my job after that. The song Every Breath You Take by the Police. Even Sting said it was meant to be creepy and he doesn't understand why people romanticize it. Coercion apparently. 10 no's and a yes is still a no. Coercion is rape. Persistence after no isn't romantic, it's rapey. Had a guy in a bar once after my numerous polite no's say persistence is the key to resistance and God did my whole body cringe. Edit, my next no was far from polite. My ex used to wake me up every morning, rubbing my back and telling me how beautiful I was. I thought it was so sweet until months in, I realized he was just doing it to have sex. I ended up pretending to be asleep like a dead fish and internally so pissed BC I just wanted to sleep and I had figured out it was a ploy. Same without the compliment part, but it was usually rubbing feet which quickly turned into rubbing my ass, etc. Had so many arguments with him over the years, in the end I realized it just wasn't going to stop for longer than a few weeks, and he would never actually respect my boundaries and right to sleep until I decide I want to wake up. The movie Groundhog Day. I just rewatched this and was struck by what seemed like the kernel of a decent vision of masculinity. Like negging didn't work and lying to her by pretending to be someone he's not didn't work. But becoming someone who cared about other people and did the work of taking care of other people did actually make him more attractive, coupled with the fact that he didn't try to sleep with her on what she would have seen as the first date. The filmmakers didn't quite stick the landing, because his being so into her after what to her would have been a day or two of them knowing each other would have been creepy. So not perfect, but something. Proposing in public, if you get rejected, it's all cringe for the rest of the day. Honestly, I find it's less about the things people do and more about their motivations for doing them. The thing that makes something romantic is doing it because you absolutely know it will make them happy. It's not romantic to do a thing to show how much you care, or to get them to do something like you, date you, sleep with you, etc., or to be a good partner. These are all motivations that are focused on yourself rather than your partner and are more likely to come across as manipulative and creepy. Saying I love you after a couple days or weeks, showing up unannounced or when the person has been clear that they don't want to see you and waiting outside the house until the morning like a martyr. No sir, that's just creepy. Also, coming to someone's work every day to bring coffee or food. It's not necessarily a nice gesture or romantic if you come on your terms and whatever time you want to. You are clearly doing this for you and checking in if the person is indeed at work. Creepy overload. Whatever is written on Wattpad with those bad boy boyfriends. Jealousy. Some people find it hot that their partner gets jealous. I think it's not sexy or attractive or cute at all. If you're being jealous, it gives insecure and controlling to me. Big red flag. That generally happens at the 2 months anniversary, haha. Leaving a box outside your car door at 5 in the morning. And when you kick it because you think it's a kidnapping trap, he calls you saying he left it there for you, it's a gift, and you realize he's parked across the street from your house waiting for you to walk out. But none of that is romantic in the first place. Obsessing over someone so much to make them fall for you. Stalking in all its forms. Refusing to take no for an answer. Often portrayed as soulmates who won't give up. But in reality, it shows a lack of respect for boundaries and can feel unsettling. Watching someone while they sleep framed as tender in some fictional stories, but in real life it's invasive and can come across as creepy rather than caring. Grand public declarations, proposals, or love confessions in front of a crowd might look romantic in movies, but in real life they can pressure the other person and feel manipulative if the feelings aren't mutual. Mirroring. It's okay to have a lot of things in common. It's weird when your personality becomes their personality. I tend to think that these likes aren't actually real, just a manipulation to fake closeness. And if you want to fake emotional intimacy this badly, to this extreme, what other crazy shit are you capable of? Going to the girl boy you are dating to his house uninvited just to be romantic. Helping someone get through a fresh breakup by basically tricking them into one with you. Also, big one, choosing to spend time with you over their own child. Had a guy I thought was a friend who I even told I wasn't ready for a new relationship and wasn't even my type. He really wasn't attracted to him at all. Take advantage of my vulnerability at first. It was just a FWB thing, and then within just a couple of weeks he moved towns to be closer to me and tricked me into being introduced to his kid and parents. We went to a museum because I mentioned I'd never been to this locally famous one, and his mum and kid met us there. He also offered to pick me up for something, and I asked him to please just text me when he arrived so I could just meet him outside. He goes to the front door and rings the doorbell and introduces himself to my parents. We were maybe a month or two into our, whatever it was. It was so uncomfortable, but I was still really distraught as I had found out my ex had been cheating pretty much our whole 5-year-long relationship. My self-esteem was at an all-time low. This guy was love-bombing me, buying me gifts, texting me every second we weren't together. He'd just leave his kid with his mum all the time to spend it with me. I even pointed that out to him and he blew it off and told me his mum loved spending that time with his kid. I finally really put my foot down that I didn't want to date and was kind of mad he blindsided me with meeting his family. He apologized and said he understood. I just wanted to be friends. Then, of course, months later, after I moved states, I tried to go on a date when I felt like I could try, and he lost it and told me I couldn't. So I finally had to go off and tell him we weren't together, and he blocked me. Tongue inside ear. Creepy and just the www. Taking photos of you sleeping. I actually W'd out of that one. When someone insistent tells you they love you after one date, his love at first sight was intense and very creepy. I am so invested in this because my dad always said he wanted to marry my mother as soon as he met her. And when she asked why didn't you tell me, he said, because I just met you and I'm not a psychopath. Insisting, be it gift giving, bringing you home, cook or clean for you, asking how you do and how you are. Insisting is very creepy very quickly. Another thing is something barely done anymore, serenading. Don't you stand under my window in the middle of the night, blasting stupid romantic music in the neighborhood. Go away, far away. Possessiveness. To me, there's nothing romantic about the whole you belong to me thing. It's insane how normalized and romanticized it is too. Showing up at your housework or port, etc. to see you. Being super obsessed and possessive. Honestly, when a guy I barely know whips out some long, dramatic poem about my eyes, like oceans or whatever. And let's be real, half the time these romantic gestures are just ego flexes. You're not writing sonnets because I'm the one. You're doing it because you want to see me naked. Newsflash, Shakespeare didn't get me out of my jeans, actual chemistry does. STEM kids, gosh, no love for the literary arts. JK, TBH, almost anything romantic taken out of context. If you listen to romantic songs, the line between person deeply in love with someone and creepy person obsessed with someone is very, very thin. Cute following your crush. My sir, that is stalking. Pet nicknames after a few days of casual texting. Romantic music swells and slow motion intensifies. No one thinks it is romantic. This guy so briefly showed me his list of my name facts. Seems fine in theory, but the not cute part was all the facts I saw that I had not shared with him, such as family members, full names and addresses. Bonus points, I have a biblical name, and him saying, as soon as I found out your name, I knew God wanted us to be together was also pretty unnerving. Like, bro, we met on Grindr LMAO. Getting on your hands and knees and begging apologizing. I had a hookup get on his hands and knees and beg me not to leave and go to work. He was naked and had a huge wiener, so it was even more awkward. I also had an ex get on his knees in public and fake cry and beg me to forgive him after he put his hands on me for the umpteenth time. That was creepy and humiliating. Having someone obsessed with you, sending constant good morning or good night messages when the other person ain't responded yet, it's meant to be sweet, but it can come off as clingy or unsettling. I've never been in a relationship, but apparently that's a thing, partners texting each other good morning and good night every day. And people get mad if their partner doesn't do it? I absolutely don't get it. Sounds annoying as fuck. I've been happily single and traveling for a while now, and even my last 2 relationships were long distance in very different time zones. We had lives, there was no time for coordinating that. Especially if this is done straight off the bat, before you are even sure if there is something romantic there. That's an insight into CO dependence and a one-way ticket to dry vagina land. Proposing in public, especially crowded places. Going through someone's phone. It screams insecurity and an invasion of privacy. If you can't trust your partner, then it's clearly a dead relationship. Do people really think it's romantic? When they tell you something AIing the following lines after you tell them you're not interested or no. I know you're jaded and you've been hurt, but I'm good for you, will make you happy because you're my everything. And the whole focus of my life. UHM. No, that's not healthy. And you don't even know my middle name. Cliché romantic dates and grand gestures without taking into account the other person's interests at all. For example, a while back someone posted about if they were overreacting to their girlfriend of a few months not being appreciative of a $1,000 diamond tennis bracelet he got her, when it seems like mostly the girlfriend was a little freaked out and she suggested that something like concert tickets would be more appropriate. Once a guy was describing a romantic date he was envisioning for us, and it involved reading Chaucer in the park. I think he found out I was an English major and ran with it. Flowers for people regardless of if they like flowers, rooms full of candles, regardless of if they like scents, etc. A misstep here and there is fine, but if it happens again and again, the message is, I don't see you as a person. Holding the back of the neck. Shit is unsettling. I had a colleague do this to me at an after-hours work event in order to whisper something in my ear, and when I tried to pull back and couldn't, it immediately triggered a freeze and dissociative response. Wait, people actually do that? That shit triggers me to start flailing. I can't stand when people touch anything. Shoulders up on me. Saying we're meant to be after barely knowing the person. Calling your partner mummy or daddy is cringy AF. It actually puts me off completely. Anonymous flowers. One year I received flowers for Valentine's Day and the card had a quote that made no sense to me. I had no clue who might have sent them. Since I don't date, my roommate and I called them murder flowers since we found it creepy. Weird. I refused to ask anyone if they'd sent them. I was so annoyed. If it was supposed to be obvious, they missed the mark, I was not going to play along. I never, ever liked being called baby or babe. Do it privately. With doing it public, you're putting social pressure on them to say yes even if don't want it. Or you simply will be embarrassed with a no. Kissing someone while they're asleep. Lip kisses, neck kisses, other sexy kisses. I agree. I am cool with forehead kisses, like I give my kid and my parents. I figure those are family love kisses and neutral. Wishing someone good sleep and dreams. Am I wrong? Proposal over dinner. I dunno. It's like, you're eating dinner, knowing about them for 1 to 2 days and declaring your deepest, most profound romantic love towards them. Like, we are adults, not 14 years old. I guess it could be summed up as emotionally immature. Getting mad because that person don't reciprocate the same feelings. Shades of Grey story. When you've just started talking to a guy and he texts good morning, beautiful. I'm happily married now, but when I was online dating a lot trying to find a husband that used to give me the ICK so bad. My now husband didn't do this, and I think it was one of many things that attracted me to him. Showing up at your workplace unannounced as a surprise. Do you know the difference between stalking and romance? In the movies, they call it romance. In real life, they call it stalking. I think the above quote explains most situations quite thoroughly. Not taking no for an answer because you think persistence is sexy. Being jealous and protective. Emotions like that are common in a relationship, but they should be worked through, not accommodated because it's thrilling to think of someone being that into you. Older people, mainly older men, seeking younger women. For me, is any physical touch when it isn't my partner. Showing up unannounced at someone's house. Like, in movies it's all I had to see you, and I couldn't stop thinking about you. But in real life, that's just anxiety in a hoodie. I like these posts that aren't pitting men and women against each other with sweeping generalizations about genders. It looks like the behavior in most comments have been experienced by both genders, and the common theme is sometimes people are just shitty in all genders and sexualities. More Reddit questions like this would be cool. If I'm mad at you, sex is off the table. Lol. No amount of sex is changing that. Some people think that jealousy is romantic. It's not. It's a terrifying, stressful and soul-destroying quality to have in a partner. It shows deep insecurity that can't be satiated. Another is when women or men think that someone standing up for them in altercations is romantic. That's also just terrifying. It might feel flattering or protective at first, but you'll quickly find out that they're actually just looking for a reason to fight. Eventually, they'll turn that aggression towards you. Kissing someone while they're talking gagging with you, especially kissing without consent, that's weird. Women say they want a man that is funny and spontaneous. But when I knock on the bedroom window at midnight in clown makeup, it's all tears and hysteria, stolen from the interwebs and, I'm just kidding, I'm married and only harass my wife. My ex used to follow me around the school halls, is that creepy? Lol. Staring at me while I sleep. Pretty much everything the male cast do in Love Actually. Very public. Marriage proposals, like having it put up on the Jumbotron at a ball game you're both attending. You're putting quite a lot of pressure on the other person to say yes. I dumped a guy I was very casually dating after he sent me flowers at work, after we had sex for the first time. To me, it felt like a very public way to announce to everyone that we were seeing each other, and I had already told him that I wasn't ready to put a label on the relationship. Someone who takes boundaries as a challenge or a dare. Any ADS love song. When men pick out their girlfriend wife's outfit to wear on a date, Just an odd thing in my mind, especially when they post the outfit laying out saying how sweet it is. It depends if the person at the receiving end likes you or not. If they don't like you, then it's creepy. If they like you, then it's cool or funny or romantic. Every part of Twilight. Over-possessiveness. I do not get why people find that romantic. It depends on the person. Some people who lack that kind of connection in their childhood actually appreciate that obsession. Any Christian's 50 Shades of Grey actions in the movies and books. Sucking toes. No, thank you. The premise of the Twilight books. She's so obsessed with him she can't live without him and does dangerous things in hopes of seeing him again. Then changes everything about herself to be with him. So damaging to young girls. This is not okay. Lots of controversy about these books. I enjoyed them as a light, casual read, but for young girls, who they were written for. Problematic. Calling 100 times a day to check in. My phone thinks it's being stalked too. When someone shows up unannounced at your house, movies make it look super romantic, like surprise. I just had to see you. But in real life, it's just invasive and kind of unsettling. Boundaries matter. And ignoring them isn't cute, it's creepy. Coming on strong from the start. I may be alone in this, but gift giving before knowing someone very well. It makes me feel like I'm now indebted. Saying I love you too soon in a relationship. Playing every breath you take at your wedding. When they surprise you with a song they wrote about you or something else they wrote about you. I'm sure it can work, but most of the time people do this, it's unwelcome and creepy, and often the writing is kind of insulting. Maybe not creepy so much as just extremely awkward, but serenading someone, propose to someone with a song and piano. Most awkward couple minutes of my life, for both of us. I literally can't stand people who just show up. I find it rude and invasive. It also gives me anxiety if people do this, because it means they can come by at any time, and then I have to deal with it. I have several friends who like to show up unannounced, and I've told them not to do this anymore. I think also because I would never just show up without calling someone first or giving them a heads up. So I don't know why people do it to me. A guy tried to deeply psychoanalyze me less than a week into knowing him. I've met guys who try to rush physical intimacy, but trying to rush emotional intimacy was a bizarre experience. Getting to know someone on an intimate level takes time and needs to unfold naturally. When the other person gets obsessed, lol. Sharing locations for trust issues. Extreme jealousy, where they want to punch any guy who looks at you. It's scary and insecure. When they stare at you like they want to kiss you all the time, or intensely stare for a long period of times. People always say, or, the way he stares at her, may this love find me, etc. But in reality, while he's staring I low-key get uncomfortable cause why he be staring so hard. I always thought I wanted to get looked at like that. But all the time gets tiring. Not allowing your partner to have friends of a different sex and jealousy being portrayed as romantic. Everyone loves that Celine Dion's man fell in love with her and waited. But my girl is better off with Terrence and or Philip. That's fucking creepy to fall in love with a 13-year-old child. Men, anything women do is legit to me. Kiss cam at the ballpark. Or the Coldplay concert. A lot of what happens in movies. Wiping your lover's face your spit like a mum used to do and then giving a kiss in public. Coming unannounced to someone's place. Grand gestures too soon and love bombing. Grand gestures such as, oh, we went to this cafe once or twice. It's our place. Here's a framed portrait I had specially made of the two of us standing outside of the cafe, and meanwhile you've only been dating for 3 months. Big yikes. In movies also, they show grand gestures of couples that have only been dating for a short time. In reality, it's creepy as all hell. Then love bombing. Again, you've only been dating for a short time. They're quick to say I love you and basically are obsessed over you. Huge red flags, majorly creepy. Women who have low self-worth, I've been there, can easily get suckered into this. It's a manipulation tactic.